in. Let's introduce these guys, shall we? Without further ado, spawning down here in the bottom position for the reserve forces and Team GP. Give it up for our blue Terran player, Ryung. And his opponent. Up here in the top, he plays for Good Game Gaming, but he also is representing 3AB. Looking at you, Patience. Now, as we all know about a TVP matchup, it's one of those ones where we see the Terran player be very aggressive in most situations because they can't really afford to let the Protoss get up to that late game Protoss army because there's so much AoE, there's so much DPS, it's very difficult to engage into. But taking a look at Patience, he's not the kind of player to really play the late game. He's also very comfortable in those mid-game skirmishes where he's sending zealots out across the map. He's making sure that the Terran player stays back in his own bases. He's kind of like a Terran Protoss, if that makes sense. Just with how aggressive he is. Oops. Looks like I got an accidental thing right there. Ignore that thing in the top right corner. But, yeah, now we are going to see Ryung kind of just play it out the way he needs to. We see that SCV going across the map, just getting that confirmation of the Nexus going down. I did see a Marine come out before this Reaper, so that's going to be able to shoo away that first probe. And even this first SCV, just getting a wonderful scout on the building placement and positioning. So the Reaper is just going to get that final confirmation as to what's going on. All right, nothing crazy out of Ryung either. He's just going to play this very standard. Remember, for each and every one of these players, it's a potential best of one. If you win, you move on. If you don't, you're dead. So that doesn't really leave a lot of room for errors. So in terms of cheeses, I don't think we're going to be seeing too many of those in this series. Now, what we do see is that Reaper getting shooed away. He has not gone up there just yet, so he doesn't see the fact that Patience is getting that Twilight Council for Blink. First Stalker, though, is going to be coming up here. The first bunker has only got one Marine in it right now. He is focusing his attention on other fronts, so he doesn't have a ton of forces available to him. But at the same time, that's enough to kind of shoo this away. And ooh, it is going to be Dark Templar. Not Blink, as I so crazily thought. All right, so Patience. He wants to win this one quickly because as time goes on, this huge commitment is just going to put you further and further and further behind because of how much you have to invest into it. That Raven coming out will be out at an opportune time, and that's going to help him stay completely safe. And even just delaying this third Nexus for a short time is a wonderful move for Ryung to start things off. Now, War Prism is out. The Hellion just kind of dancing around, just wants to keep an eye on the bases. He will possibly get up there and see the War Prism popping. I think he just barely misses it out of his range of view. But, you know, he still has the proper defense back at home. But yeah, there we go. The Dark Templars are in their nest. The Marines are a little bit far forward, so they will have to rush back in order to defend this. So he might get a couple of quick kills before that happens. In terms of scans, I think he does have one available, and he does get a very nice start here. 5 worker kills and a delayed third base From here, I think he just kind of goes out with this, morphs them into Archons. He doesn't have to be more aggressive with them. Just having them is nice. And yeah, there you go. Archons coming out. I think Patience, just kind of one of those players who, even though this has fallen out of the meta just slightly, these sort of Archon drops, I think he likes to play these off-meta builds just because they can catch your opponent so off guard. Look at that. He lifts up both of those Archons, but will have to get out of there. The Viking is in position to help shoo this away. I think the Archons will be able to escape, though. Yes, they will. So now, from here, what I like is Patience hasn't committed everything to this. He's already got his transition down into those Colossus, into that +1, so he's not going to be falling too far behind in terms of those very important upgrades. Although I am a little bit worried here with his Warp Prism placement getting so much damage done off that missile turret. He's going to have to get shooed away, and that Viking might go in for the kill. Oh yeah, it is making a beeline for him. Gets one shot. Maybe a second? No, he drops the Archons. There you go. But, yeah, Ryung can't really move out just yet just because he doesn't have that combat shields. I think versus Archons especially, combat shields are super important just because of all that splash that comes on down. But we do have the Raven coming in, getting a couple of kills, just delaying some mining time as well. This is just really nice to kind of slow Patience down just slightly. And, you know, from here, Ryung's just kind of staying back. Looks like Patience, though, doesn't want to give him any opportunity to get far ahead, so he's just going to go for this big timing push. He does have a ton of gateways available to him. As we can see, he's got currently 8 on the field, so a lot of charge zealots would complement this attack nicely, but you have to be very careful going up that ramp, don't you? As, yeah, there is a good siege tank line all over the place. We do have Viking production for those Colossus as well. I'm kind of interested to see when Patience does decide to kind of make that transition out. He's getting Dark Templar Blink, Shadow Stride up there, as well as that Warp Prism speed. So he's still trying to kind of make these Dark Templar worth his time and investment. Whether he spends a little bit too much time on them, though, I think that is going to be a big point of contention for him. Because if you spend too much on DTs, then you're going to not have enough Zealots in the front to tank this army. You're not going to have enough Colossus in the backfield. You might not even have enough Disruptors in. That's the route it looks like he's taking. Oh, man, this is just unfortunate for Patience, though. Losing that Warp Prism before the Gravitic Boosters comes online. So he will get a little bit slowed down in terms of that aggressive gain. In terms of base count, though, Ryung is still sitting quite turtily on 3 bases. We don't see a 4th being taken just yet. And yes, he hasn't even made it at all. As I say that, he throws it down. Beautiful. But we already see Patience getting a double expand, kind of. He's got his 5th base up. He's got his 6th base up there in the 12 o'clock position. And I don't think at this point he's really going to have too much trouble defending both of these spots. What is up there for Ryung? It's just a Marine. And a Widow Mine, that's kind of interesting. Probably just trying to make sure that there's no sort of harassment. But he does catch the Zealots on this side of the map, cleaning those up, but that's a lot of his army gone away from the real effort of Patience. The siege tanks are not in their zone. A lot of these supply depots will go down. That's going to heavily supply block Ryung. A good disruptor fire right there. Gets one of the ghosts as well. And oof, this is looking worse and worse for Ryung. He's just kind of held back on his bases. Even taking a look at the upgrades for Patience, he's going up to +3. He's getting shields for those Archons. I kind of like that, actually, because that means that those Archons are going to last a lot longer to the EMPs. And yeah, it looks like he's just going to continuously press forward with this location, try and fight where the siege tanks are not. Disruptor fire just going to force Ryung off this choke point. But the siege tanks do get the siege up and get one big pot shot. A couple of stalkers actually going down there. Good start to a defense, as Patience is just trying to clean up some of these rocks to open up some rotation. But here we go. He's going to try and position himself again. Not going to find the angle that he wants, so he is just going to back off for right now. We do have that gateway positioning down there in the bottom. That's going to open up some opportunities for him with that supply depot wall newly remade. Oh no, a terrible engagement right there for Patience, taking out so many of his own stalkers. I think the pressure of this push is just getting to him a little bit. Oh my goodness, that was a terrible move there. Keep in mind though, we do have those Dark Templar, and the army is very far away. But as we go on, both players are starting to max out. EMP is going to blanket some of these forces. The Disruptors getting very far forward, not going for the easy kills in the front, but that one getting tons of ghost kills. He has definitely made up for those Stalkers' deaths with that one. And now he's going to just be aggressive with these harassments. Big Zealot Warpin coming in, and already 6 workers going down. The bunker going to save what it can, but even that will fall. And now Patience just getting ready for that air switch. He's just got to keep the pressure on for a little bit longer. And one siege tank, not going to be enough to clean this one up. Sending a couple of safety disruptors. That was a little bit too much. Some overkill. But now Patience is in not the best position. He is getting ready to get fully surrounded. Big disruptor hit going to go off. A second one will kill some more ghosts. But now he is Dorito cannon down. And the Colossus are starting to fall. The disruptors starting to get taken down. And that is a lot of Patience's army damage in those units. Good Blink Black, though, going to stop that Dorito cannon. But here we go. Ryung just going to be pushing his way forward. He still has plenty of EMPs available to him. The cannons actually making it a little bit difficult for Patience to engage. It's keeping him from retreating as easily as he'd like. DT's going to be jumping their way in the middle of this army, though. Scan going to go down to clean those up. But Ryung losing so much supply right there. He is forced all the way back. Now, kind of taking a look at what both players are making right now. Patience up over 40 supply. Ryung, he's getting some Vikings. He's getting Marauder and Marine. No more Ghosts are going to be added on to this army. And he's going to lose this base right here. He's just, like, what looked to be a very good position for him. He's starting to get overwhelmed by Patience. Losing this economy as well. Remember, he's running out of room to breathe. He's only got about 2 mineral patches down here, 3 mineral patches up here in the top. So that was one of his only mining bases, and now he's going to have to deal with all of these carriers being toppled out 3 at a time. Ryung as well, just having a lot of trouble rebuilding that army. Big scan gonna go down, get rid of some of those DTs, but where there is one DT, there is a big army to back it up. He actually kills some of his own units, but all in the name of getting that base. I'd say that was totally worth it, because he can just remake that supply into that air army. He's just got to be careful, because Ryung's going to make one big ditch effort to clean up the ground army. Oh man, that planetary as well, not having any detection, is making that so easy to kill off. And the carriers, how many times do you see carrier harassment? Oh my goodness. Ryung, though, he does have a scary army coming up here to the front, so it's a little bit of a base trade. Not really, because Patience still has all of these different bases, and even this Colossus doing a good job. Some great splashes on it. The force fields slowing the army of Ryung down as much as humanly possible. Only just now starting to get that good spread, but he's starting to run out of energy on some of these medevacs. He can't heal fast enough for it to matter. The DT's just going to town on everything. But, you know, these carriers do have to be careful, as there are still Vikings back at home. It's not going to be enough, though, as Ryung's supply just absolutely plummets. And GG will be called. So a very good start for 3AB to continue their reign of terror on this tournament. With a couple more wins like that, they secure their place in first. Very, very secure, I gotta say. Now we're just gonna get into our next lobby as I do all the admin stuff. I hope you guys are having a fantastic day. If you're just tuning in, welcome to the official English cast of this event. And don't worry, like, if you're craving good Korean StarCraft 2, this is the place to do it, as well as all of Alpha X's other channels. I don't know, I thought I turned off all this Stream Raider stuff. Sorry about that, guys. Might be a hotkey issue, but enough about that, because we are going to be hopping in to Lightshade LE for our next map. Patience will move on to this next one. He's just got to keep going and hope for the all kill. I think that's going to be their best case situation, not having to send out the rest of their players. And, you know, speaking of the rest of the players spawning, down here in the bottom position, give it up for Patience. And for the reserve forces, they are going to be sending out the big guns in the Afrika Freaks Armani. Now, funnily enough, I'm taking a look at what's been going on. It looks like Armani hasn't actually had much screen time at this tournament, only playing 3 games total, and only winning 1 of them, it looks like. Looks like he went up against Ragnarok and got defeated there in day 1. Day 2 versus Jotun, he did get that win, but then fell very quickly to Hurricane. So So I guess that he really does want to avenge himself here, show that he can stifle the bleeding of this team and, you know, maybe get them a couple of extra points on the board. Looks like they're having a little bit of a conversation here. I have no idea what they're saying, but Armani already going to be very, very, very aggressive with his expansions, going up to that third base very, very quickly. And so with that, there are, you know, this doesn't necessarily mean that he's going to be playing a macro game. As funny as it sounds, there are some strategies for Zerg players where you do drop this third base very early on, and then you just use it for the larva. You get tons of those larvae out. You just spam the Z key and try and kill your opponent either before they have that wall down or they just break through the wall and try and win it. I mean, that's definitely could work in this situation, but at the same time, Patience is going to be going for that Adept Glaive timing. I don't necessarily dislike that option. That might be a little bit... See, I don't know if that's going to be less effective or more effective versus this, just because having that third base early on does, like I said, mean extra larva, which means more roaches, means more zerglings, etc., etc. Zest versus Solar today games, no game. If they're playing, they're probably playing in the second one. I don't know which teams they're on, but I know they're both in this one. But, you know, Armani does get a very good scout about this, and he can already start his defense as early as he would like. Just going to pop out a couple of additional drones because he knows he can kind of afford to do so. But, yeah, he's going to have to start pumping out units very, very soon if he hopes to hold on. If Zest vs. Solar play today, it's going to depend because it's an all-kill format. So we might see them, we might not. It's going to, again, just depend on who they send out in their respective games. So Patience has been switching it up a little bit with this as well. We can see he's going straight into the double Stargate behind this. So there's still a good potential that he goes up for that big Void Ray timing that we see a lot of Protoss players do. But, I mean, once Armani kind of recognizes that this isn't fully all in and that the transition is down, that's kind of his go sign saying, hey, I can attack you and I can try and kill you. All right, looks like Phoenix is going to be the choice for a nice old school build with Phoenix Adept. Robo Bay going to be coming in as well, but Patience has been slowed down a little by those lings in the center of the map, so that gives time for these roaches to come out. The Queen's going to try and fight on the road. Some good transfuses. Going to keep that alive for as long as possible. Focus firing him down, though. He will get one of them before it gets surrounded. And only 4 will survive. He did get on top of the drone line a little bit here. 4 workers going to go down and delaying some of that mining time. But he will get completely cleaned up and surrounded. So now he's going to have to hope that those Phoenix can do some more damage. Otherwise, he is a little bit behind. Yeah, I like this move a lot. Just going to go straight in for that Nidus network. Does mean that he's not going to be able to get picked off by those Phoenix. And he does have a couple of OVs and some Lings in position, so he will be able to throw that down wherever he so chooses. So many queens. How many queens does he actually have right now? He's got 9. The exact number that he needs. But one of them, unfortunately, gets missed by its brethren. And the Adept's going to be coming in as well for a little bit more of an attack. The Nice Worm will finish. Patience paying way too much attention to this side of the map. He doesn't see that going down necessarily. And all the queens are now out. So this area is going to be very, very sieged up. The roaches come through. The Lings will probably follow here. One queen does get picked up, but the Transfuse is going to keep that alive for as long as possible. The roaches have to fight within range of the queens, however, or they will get picked off. Looks like he's going to drop that second Nexus, or second Nidus rather, right there for a quicker reinforce. But there is an Immortal out, so you do have to be careful about that. The shield battery doing wonders for these Phoenix, keeping them as alive for as long as possible. And now the Stalkers starting to clean up the roach count. But this is still a very dicey position for him. Disruptor going to get a nice connection as well before going down, I believe. Oh no, it's still alive. It looks like Armani does get cleaned up there. He's still going to be here in the top. But, I mean, there's not really too much further that he can go. Oh, so many Spore Crawlers going to get rid of some of these. Phoenix, a good Disruptor hit, going to take down what it can. The Observer dying off as well is pretty important, since the creep can be spread that way by these queens. And now it's kind of just this big game of whack-a-mole. You know, one Nidus goes down, a second will follow. He is going to get a couple of pylons here, just try and stop some of that surface area, but his third base is under fire, and he will have to abandon it. Well, the Link's getting on top of the Immortal as well. That will fall. The second one loses its shields. Have to be careful not to hit your own units. You can't afford to do so in this game, Patience. On the other side of things, 9 workers did go down, but that means all of these Phoenix are nowhere near this fight. And Armani, puts Patience on one base. It's going to come down to some very impressive micro to save him, and I just don't know if he has enough for it. I don't know what Patience has against his own Stalkers as well, but it has cost him the game. He has cost him the series, and Armani will move on. GG. So Armani stunting some of the blow there for Wear Reserve forces, making sure that they stay within grasp of that first place. I think it's the top 3 teams advance to the playoff, and if you're in first place, you do go straight to the finals. So it's going to be pretty darn important to, you know, get that little bit of rest, get to watch your opponents a day before, just to make sure that you know what's going to happen. Also, I don't know if there's someone from Liquipedia here, but I don't think Armani's from Kenya. But remember, both sides still have 2 players left that they can bring out, and they are going to have to use probably all of them. Let's get these introductions out of the way. Introducing, in the top position of Death Aura, this powerful Zerg up here. Give it up for Armani. And his opponent for Team NV, looking at you, Creator. Alright, so Creator has been a savior for his team. In a lot of instances, I believe he did get an all kill. It was either yesterday or the day before. Let me just kind of confirm that. Yeah, Creator did get that all kill just yesterday versus Doboom Walk, taking out Solar, Nightmare, and Ragnarok. 3 very aggressive Zerg and Protoss players. So, you know, he's going to be trying to replicate that success. The one thing I'm worried about, though, is Creator will have to go up against Dream after this in order to make that happen. But if you guys know Dream, he's been pretty much a linchpin for his own team in this tournament as well. So far, though, everything is looking pretty standard on Death Aura. It doesn't take that many buildings to wall off your natural as the Protoss player, so he is going to just have that done, ready to go. And, you know, Armani, he's got that hatchery up at his 3rd. He's taken the safer hatchery, and he's got that spawning pool as well, so, you know, he's ready in case of aggression. Getting that speed as well, just going to make sure that those lanes can secure that further 3rd base. And yeah, now what we do have as well is that Stargate coming out for Creator. Every time we see a Protoss versus a Zerg player, we think seeing that Stargate, Void Rays, Void Rays, Void Rays. The problem with that is that if you guys recall, Void Rays are very susceptible to the response from a Zerg player. Those very aggressive, very powerful punches where you just kind of walk the Koreans across the map or jump them into an Overlord and just push your opponent's teeth in at the 3rd base. I think Armani, like, if he utilizes the Nidus as well on an attack like that, I think that's going to be a little bit better for him, because that means that his reinforcements are going to be a lot closer. He can get the queens there a lot quicker to kind of help out if the Void Ray count is a little bit too overwhelming. But, you know, we see the Void Ray. I don't think it's been scouted yet. No, still no units lost, so the Overlord wasn't in position to see that, but now he does. Getting a cancel on the 3rd base, that's a very nice start for Armani. Even going to go up to that Evo chamber so he can get his upgrades started in a reasonable time, just to stay ahead of Creator, who is doubling down on the Stargates, getting his 2nd one in. Okay, so yeah, on the other side of things, yeah, we just got this slow little build up from both sides. Nothing really too much else to say right now, as we've got the lair coming in. The Roach Warren is going to be dropped. All just kind of standard responses. No game? Boy. Oh, there you go. Oh my gosh, Enki, you just scared the living daylights out of me. Taking a look at Creator as well, he's mixing it up just a little bit, getting double Oracle for those extra little bits of revelation. The Adept's going to be shading in, getting a couple of drone kills before getting taken down. But again, just kind of denying some mining time. All well and good. Actually, that's a lot of oracles. Interesting. Oh my goodness. So he's already up to 5 oracles, which does mean that he will be able to not only one-shot the drones, but also just one-shot a lot of different things. And that burst damage is enough. If he focus fires down, say, the lair or a hatchery or two, even the spore crawlers, that opens up a possibility to get some very quick kills, since there's not really a ton of AoE, or air damage rather, until those hydralisks pop. Oh my gosh. We've got a big old Protoss minefield going on, and the Void Ray going to be getting a couple of quick kills as well before jumping on out. I gotta say, like, I'm hesitant to say that this is an awesome build from a Creator, but just from the fact that if Armani decides to go down the bottom side of the map at all, he is going to not only get stasis trapped into next week, but he's going to have to get his passport renewed because he's going to be gone for like 3 years. The first one goes off. He's baiting the Hydralisk forward as long as possible, while a small Zealot run-by coming in. Just damage everywhere in small numbers. 7, 8 workers going down, 9 to follow. Yeah, really good there from Creator. Ooh, just barely misses that one. So now it looks like Armani is just going to say, to heck with this. I want to get in on the drop game as well. So he does have those queens starting to be loaded up in the German taxi. Even going to add on a couple of the roaches. I don't know if he's recognized that, but Creator does have a small little drop coming in. A little bit distracted there is Armani. He doesn't see this. Hey, Castamuse, how are you? Oof, big damage on those Zealots. Just going to deny a lot of mining time on that drone line. The roaches that have been popping out for the reinforcements will have to stay at home for just a little bit longer. I think Armani did decide to come home off the back of this. And he's going to throw down the Nidus Worm. Kind of interesting. I guess that is going to be a good choice, just because it means he will be able to save those queens if if something happens to the overlords. But now he still has to be very careful. He's about to hit a huge stasis trap in this. Oh my goodness, so much supply is now dead to rights. Crater going to jump on this, get some nice storms down on the Hydralisks in the front. Has to conserve some of that energy, though, as he pulls Armani home once again with these run-bys. Armani currently sitting on 59 workers as a Zerg player on 4 bases. 59. That's about 10 workers away from greatness, but I digress on that point because Creator's still sitting pretty on his own 4 bases. And really just Armani not having the same success that he did in the last game. So many queens. This is such a scary position for Armani since they don't have any support there. Getting the revelations down as well, making sure that he keeps an eye on those Ovies no matter where they go. Zealot's going to get a couple of additional kills. He's got the DT Shrine, getting that second Cybernetics core as well, just to speed up these upgrades as we've got the big mama mothership coming on out to help with the pushes. This is kind of the thing with all of these oracles full of energy. They can shut down even the deadliest of roach run-bys. They just do so much damage in high numbers. And now Armani recognizes that he's in a little bit of trouble since he does see those carriers in the backfield. The Immortals, though, a little bit out of position, so they will have to be saved by that Warp Prism. If anything these drops can do, they are getting that information. Going to focus down a lot of these High Templars, so not that many storms coming down, but enough to clean this part up. And now the carrier's just going to fight the Queens. A lot of transfuse energy, but Armani is not paying attention to that location. Small skirmishes almost everywhere as well. The supply staying completely even as Armani going to be remaxing on Hydralisks to help deal with that air army. Almost donating a lot of units there as well. That would not have been good. Nice little cancel. I gotta say, one of the weak points of this game for Armani has been that forward creep spread. At this point, I would like to have seen him push it out just a little bit further, because I feel like the front is the only place where he hasn't been taking kind of that consistent damage. It's always been around the side, so maybe just having that creep spread a little bit further out would kind of give him a little bit more of an early warning system and keep him a little bit safer from that harassment that just did a number on his economy. Kind of taking a look, how many units or how many drones did he lose? He's lost 34 total. And as you can see, he hasn't been able to touch the economy of Creator at all. Adaptive Talons will mean that these lurkers can reburrow as quickly as they would like. I think the most important thing for these storms as well, as we see a big one going down, blanketing the Hydralisks, is that you do need to focus them on the Hydralisks. Don't aim for the Lurkers as much. But here we go. Armani dropping, plummeting even in terms of that supply. Oh, those storms are just so absolutely deadly, and he knows he's lost it. GG is called. And so where reserve forces is getting close to being dropped down in the ratings a little bit more. And remember, this is all kill, so Creator can keep this going. He's got one last demon to deal with in Dream. But not to fear for Armani. He's got a pretty good lifeline available. Oh, wait. No. Not to fail for Creator. He does have a pretty good lifeline waiting for him, as he does have Rogue waiting in the rings as the last player for his team. But I do think that Creator does want to kind of finish this one up a little bit quicker. Jagannatha is a large map, and as we've kind of seen, Dream's late game is absolutely impeccable with his army control, with his positioning. I don't think that we're going to see the same kind of deal where he is able to get up to that very scary Air Protoss army again. Looks like we will have just a second break. We're just following along with the Korean stream. So there we go. We just got the go. So yeah, this is going to be this is definitely going to be an interesting one. I am very excited for this. TVZ is my favorite matchup overall, but TVP is really starting to become a close second with all of these really good, aggressive Terran players. Not only just coming out of military service, but getting right back to work. As we see up here in the top position, the last hope for Weir Reserve Forces. Give it up for Dream. And making his way back down here in the bottom for 3AB. He's Creator. Alright, so the big question is, how is Dream going to play this one out? The two main styles we see out of Terran players, either... I mean, Dream is known for this very, very tricky thing to deal with, where he goes for an army very early on, gets a ton of Widow Mines, and is just consistently dropping you all over the place. And it's just really difficult to deal with because he'll add on the drilling claws, and just this entire time he is doing all this damage, and you just can't react in time. And so he has an army ready, and he just kills you while you're not paying attention. I think on creator side though, that Oracle build, it's awesome. It's cool. It's unique, and it catches you off guard because of how off meta it is. I think Korean StarCraft 2 is kind of the opus for play the meta, don't mix it up too much, or else you're going to get destroyed. But we saw right there, like in these best of one situations where everything is on the line, who cares? He's not going to come back. He's not going to cheese you if you win. And if you lose, all right, you're done. You don't have to worry about it anymore. Send out the next guy. It's kind of one of the things I like about these old Pro League style events. Now, Creator does have that Twilight Council coming in for Blink. Let's keep an eye on how many gateways he decides to drop down off the back of it as well. He's getting the Robo facilities, so already going to open up the possibility of DTs as like 2. And I think, yeah, there we go. We've got the Widow Mines coming out. We've got the Medevac. So there's not going to be a Raven with this one. But, you know, it's just Blink. Looks like the Hellions as well just going to be looking for some information, getting the scout around, worried about the potential for a proxy building, hitting all 4 corners of the map. As we can kind of see, War Prism going to be coming on down. The first Widow Mine going to the top of the ramp. I don't know if Creator was paying attention to that one. He definitely sees these ones, though. The Hellions are in position to just jump right in. Widow Mine goes off a little bit prematurely, I think, but still going to get about 6 kills for not that big of a commitment if he can keep the Medevac alive. And he is able to do so. This does force Creator to still be at home for this. He wanted to be moving out on the map at this time, as we can kind of see that War Prism getting ready to come on in. But yeah, this has slowed down Creator quite a bit. Even if it didn't necessarily do an absolute ton of damage, it still delayed a lot of mining time. It still pulled the workers away for so long that it tore his attention from this Warp Prism, from this attack. And that's going to give Dream the opportunity to get that +1 started and have that additional siege tank, which means this is going to be a very, very deadly wall to try and break for Creator. Looks like the siege tank is on the low ground. Gotta be careful of that one. Oh, got rid of the bunker, but he blinks right in. The SCVs are not pulled in time, so this siege tank will go down. Raven expending some energy, using the auto turret to kind of keep this back. He's gonna have to pull that siege tank down, and I think without that second bunker, this is just a little bit more of a dicey situation for him now, as he's going to have to consistently be moving the siege tank around to try and catch these units. We also see that Prism coming in with 4 additional Stalkers, so they will get a ton of damage done as well. I don't want to say Dream is falling apart by any stretch of the imagination, but yeah, he's falling apart a little bit trying to deal with this. Widowmine does get a good connection there. Gets one of the Stalkers before it tanks up with the army. Good pickup on that siege tank. Going to try and keep that alive, but Stim is denied. He loses... he doesn't lose one of those siege tanks. Another good pickup. But 22 workers going down. Dream certainly has a very high road that he needs to come back on. A little bit of an overextension from Creator. I don't think he actually had to move in there. But I digress. Back at home, he's got charge almost complete. He's going to be going up to the Templar Archives. Okay. I think that's actually pretty good since we do see Dream going straight Marine. And plus, without that stim for a while, it's going to make sure that he's not pushing at any time. So yeah, I actually like that a little bit. Archons are pretty good versus this. A little bit worried though. Yeah, there you go. I was getting worried because he hadn't started Stim, or Storm rather. And yeah, that would have been the worst feeling in the world. You just have all these high damage High Templars in the War Prism, and they turn out to be useless because you forgot an upgrade. It's definitely happened before. I digress on that. We've got the Vikings hanging out looking for any sort of harassment. And Dream moving out with a small little hit squad, including that Raven, just to clean up these observers. Trying to open up a path for further attacks. Zealots will force a lot of this back. Maybe get an SCV or two. Just one. Okay. You know, this isn't really a high commitment from Creator. These are just mineral units, and at this point, you are on 4 bases. So you can kind of afford to just send a Zealot or 2 forward. But you can't afford to attack into the main army with this composition. You need the upgrades. In this composition, that's the most important thing. Little passive Dream is moving out, but he's not really going to be moving too far away from this base. Ghosts have been added on. He's taken his own 4th. Getting those extra geysers is going to be very, very important because you need as much gas as possible. You're trying to get out ghosts. You're trying to get all your upgrades at a reasonable time. You're even going to be adding on the +1 ship weapons. I really like that. For the sole reason that if you do get that transition into Colossus, it's going to help those Vikings just absolutely destroy them. But, you know, it would help the Liberators as well to deal with the Disruptors, which is Creator's move out right now. Creator as well, I gotta say, has fantastic levels of vision. He sees pretty much all the main paths that Dream can go for. That's going to help him make a decision as to where to defend. Zealot being a big nuisance, forcing the focus fire. Killing off some of the SCVs. And here we go. Little tiny Widow Mine drop. as we wait for these players to actually kill each other. Disruptor does move forward, whiffs the first shot, gets the Widow Mine though. As we see those additional gateways, he's got +3 on the way. +2 armor as well. He sees the Stalker, so he's not going to go in. I think he could just boost past that, and I think you might have to. The Viking's not going to help out too much, but the Disruptors trying to find those good connections. Gets a beautiful one right there, taking out a lot of that bio, but he still has to back off to his bases. Now, it looks like Creator is starting that transition into that late game army. Just going to be adding on the Mothership core as well, I'd imagine. Maybe get carriers. I'm not 100% certain because that's going to take a long time. And as you're doing it, you're not going to really have a lot of supply in case Stream tries to kind of drop around. Getting the War Prism would be pretty nice, though. Might want to force a recall, but yeah, even with a recall, that's going to go down. Now it looks like Dream just content to stay in this turtley position. I saw him do this, I think, day 3 versus a Zerg player, kind of just playing this Maru-esque style with Liberator Ghost. I don't think that's going to be the best option versus a Protoss, just with how much map control you cede. Like with a Zerg player, you can force bad engagements, you can take them into a siege tank line. Not really as useful versus a Protoss. Some big storms going down on this army, but there is still a lot of bio tanking in the next storm. Only going to get one of those Liberators, and the Colossus are getting shredded by the Vikings because of that +1. Some big EMP is going to blanket the rest of this army, and Dream has secured this location in a very strong manner. The Archon even not going to be enough, and there's not that much anti-air left with this army, but Dream is starting to get forced back by the reinforcements. So what started out as a very good fight for him started to cut him out, but a Creator doesn't really have an army that can push back in because there's going to be not necessarily a remax, but a lot of production going on for Dream, and he will have an army to stop this move out. Taking a look at Dream's bank, he is gas rich but mineral poor, and that's definitely going to help remake a lot of these very gas expensive units. Even having to remake the medevacs is a pretty big deal for him, because that's like for 4 medevacs, 400 gas worth of units. That could be ghosts, could be Vikings, could be upgrades. Here we go, a little bit of a Doom drop. I think that's just going to go straight for the main base to see what it can get. There is a High Templar in position with force feedbacks available, as Dream going to be rotating around with his main army to the right side. Scan going to go down, trying to find the response from Creator, but it's still a little ways away. EMP going to get one of those DTs. Very nice, very nice. Another good EMP on this Archon, going to take down a large shred of its shields. But we do see him kind of forced back in this side as he pounces on the other one. Good Storm, going to blanket a lot of this, but they're just going to eat that one. This Nexus is under a lot of fire, and I think that will go down as the EMP going to reveal all the DTs, meaning they can't attack in. Dream, though, going to lose a lot of these medevacs, which means his army is going to get weaker and weaker. And as he comes up here to the 4th base, that does mean that there's going to be no escape available to him. So he's going to have to take a good fight. Dream just absolutely everywhere, though, trying to force Creator's attention away for as long as possible. Gonna get some of those pylons, even gonna get the Dark Shrine. Oh man, I think he should have focus fired that down. Just take out one of the hidden threats. But, you know, now he's gonna have to remax. Creator still has a full army available to him. And I think he might want to do a little bit of a counter push. Maybe not. I'm not sure. Guardian Shield is popped. Another Gradient Beast. Those Archons are seconds away from disaster. Oh, man. Like, I'm a little bit worried if he does decide to go up towards that base, that he's might be overextending just a little bit, as we do see that Mothership Core coming in, but the scans are numerous enough to kind of keep this army in vision forever, and a small drop to deny the DTs from warping in. That's a lot more dead probes. Oh my goodness. Like, I don't think Dream has won it from this point, but just from the fact that this is a very difficult position for Creator to move in from. Oh my god, he cancels. Doing all of those guys in the warp. But yeah, this is such a difficult position for him, because with the amount of EMPs, with all of those Liberators in the sky, he can't find an angle to move in on, and he hasn't been harassing for a while now. A little bit late on the transition to Tempests to deal with these Liberators in the sky. They do have range now, I believe. Some big storms gonna blanket those Vikings, though, and they will fall like hotcakes. Creator trying to find an angle to make it, and if that is the angle, I think he's gonna be happy with that. A lot of disruptors are shrouded. EMP is going to go down. Time Warp just going to allow him to retreat, as we've got 7 Vikings on the production tab. And the funny thing is, he's still got all of that gas because of the fact that he has all these bases going. And that's what's really going to keep him alive if Creator moves out. Now, the big thing for Creator is that we kind of see him trying to move his whole army, rotating around to the left side to defend that base in the top. But in doing so, he exposes that new base in the bottom position. I don't think he can really afford to lose any more bases, because all of his attacks to kill Dream's bases have been thwarted. Let's kind of just take a look. Units lost tab here. Funnily enough, he's only gotten about 23 SCVs with that early game harassment, while Dream getting 42 of his own. Both sides are still sitting pretty on a high worker count, though, as Creator going for not necessarily a base trade, but he is going to be able to get this base in the top, although it's still looking pretty dicey, as the Mothership Core is going to fall. The Storms will get all of the Vikings, however, and the Mothership Core lives, and Dream is just going to pounce. I think from here, you got to get rid of that Mothership Core. That is going to be the biggest thing holding you back as you lose these orbital commands. He's going to get rid of some of these reinforcements, focusing down the Tempests. So going to stifle some of the bleeding, but Creator a little bit hesitant to move forward from here. Yeah, there you go. He's just going to recall from this position. But he's already lost that base in the top. Hot pickup does mean he's going to lose 2 full medevacs. That might have been a little bit of a mistake for Dream. He does stop the disruptor hit from going off. But another hot pickup, and the retreat is finalized. Funnily enough, these supplies are still so even for both sides. But kind of just taking a look at it, what is Dream making? He is making Marauders and Marines. He is not spending that gas because he just can't afford to. No minerals means no ghosts. No more Vikings. No more anything. But he still has 11 ghosts, 15 Vikings. Let's see if that's enough. Beautiful storm going to decimate a lot of that supply. Forcing him back and forcing him to heal up before the next big engagement. It looks like there is still one Liberator left available to him. But Dream is just trying to establish himself down here in the bottom right. I think the biggest problem is that he hasn't been able to kill off that mothership core. As silly as it sounds, that it has been a real pain in his side because it's forcing him to scan consistently, which means less mules, which means that this 56 worker count is a little bit worse for him. Yeah, he EMPs and then feedbacks. That's pretty funny, actually. Yeah, sending a couple of units forward, trying to bait that storm out. Those stalkers doing a little bit more than I think he expected. Funnily enough, he wasn't mining consistently on those gas geysers, so that did force him to kind of pay attention. And so he will be mining all that gas there now. Not much of an engagement here. Creator wisely deciding to back off. I don't think with all of these Liberators, you're going to be able to break this with the ground army. Especially not with the EMPs, so Dream just going to slowly inch his way forward at the 26-minute mark, guys. A couple of Disruptors moving forward, both of them not getting the connections that they necessarily want, but they are keeping Dream back. Liberators, though, just leapfrogging forward. This base is very, very under threat. And for Creator, by the way, this is one of his only mining bases. All of his mining is on this side of the map as the Vikings heading forward. Getting a couple of good connections. That Tempest count is legendary. Look at that. Finally sending a Zealot run by across. As the Tempest trying to kite. And the Marines being brought forward to deny some of this mining. Dream is a little bit supply block, losing some of those depots. Now there you go, Creator finally getting back on that base. like cleaning up the Zealot run-bys again and again. Just trying to force him back a little bit. These Liberators, they're having some trouble. For sure, as they're consistently getting taken down by both the Stalkers and the Tempests. But we do see Dream going to be trying to take this base down here. Taking a look at the upgrades, he does have Liberator range. He's 3/3. On Creator side of things, he did just get Tectonic Destabilizers. But here we go. Once again, trying to force the issue is Creator. Sending a lot of these forward. The Liberators going to get some splash damage in, but some good splits in the backfield. Going to make sure that those Disruptors don't get the connections, but there we go. One big one going down, and Dream is forced back once again. Looking at his resupply, 11 Marines, 6 Vikings. That gas income is gone for him. And so his next remax might be his last, as I don't know how he's going to easily take care of these Tempests in the sky. Here we go, though. This is the move that you gotta make. You have to take care of some of this production. Focus firing down, finally getting that Dark Templar Shrine that he weakened so much earlier. Whew. And by the way, guys, this is just the first series of the day, by the way. If Dream wins it, then we go into Game 5. But even if he doesn't, this has been a long one. I think this has been longer than the series as a whole already. But the Vikings getting shredded. He will lose a base. And he still has not cleaned up that drop in his own main. It looks like everything is unpowered, so he's going to have to send a probe up there if he wants to make anything else. But looking at the supply, Kylaris, 187 to 146. His almost last mining base is going down. Oh, Creator is not remaking anything, by the way. He doesn't have the pylons in the main base anymore. He's going to go for a big huzzah push right now. Try and kill Dream where he stands. And also just got a beautiful Zealot run by ready for him. I'm definitely worried because Dream just has pure Marine. Not that many Ghosts. A couple of Vikings, but those are getting kited back and killed very, very quickly. Tempest in the sky as well, getting those pickoffs. Here we go. Dream is just going to dive on top of this. A ton of Disruptors, a ton of Storms, and that is his supply plummeting. He is down below 100. The recall is utilized, so he buys himself a little bit more room. But what is he making still? Still just Vikings, still just Marines. I don't know if that's going to be enough. I think Creator is just doing this death by 1,000 cut style, and I think he will be able to close this one out. Dream getting a little bit too far forward here, losing the last of his Liberators. Yeah, even with Tectonic Destabilizers, you can kill off that base pretty quick. He's trying to defend this location. Scan going down because I guess he remade the DT Shrine. Yeah, Dream. He's gonna do what anyone would do when he knows his team needs the win. Is gonna try and base trade just a little bit, but as Creator starts to pounce on this one. Those SCVs not going back to work. They're on strike for the rest of this game. They are tired of getting killed by the Zealots. As Dream retreats to this location, to his last mining base. I think Creator is just going to pounce on this. And there you go. Time Warp goes down. Big disruptor hit, killing off a lot of these Marines. As he loses that, Creator has won the series for his guys. Now, what that does mean is that 3AB most certainly puts themselves in secure first place, which means that they will be waiting out in the final game. They don't have to play in the semifinals. But here we go, the last big engagement. The disruptor hits are good. Some good splits, just trying to prevent as much as possible. Even losing the mothership core, not the biggest of deals. Now we do have 10 probes going down somewhere. I'm interested where. But I digress. Yeah, you're not going to be able to defend this location. This is, I think this is actually his third base, or natural pushed over. And that's that the last disruptor hits. Creator finishes him off. So 3AB, first place. Everyone else is playing for second now.